And so here they are once again. As I
Yes.
mentioned, Bill, Ed, great to have you in studio with us.
Seems like
Thank
we
you
were
again.
just here.
Just a couple of weeks ago,
It was,
I know.
it was.
And a lot's
Thank you.
happened since then because we were doing a big push for volunteers for Toys for Tots and Freight Center's big event. But before we get to that, I want to hear, how everything's going as far as getting ready for this. Tell us what the Toys for Tots event is all about, Bill.
Okay, so
it's your idea.
It's the first annual The Big Give. FreightCenter.com's The Big Give. We gave it that name because, again, we deal with big stuff with Freight Center. Freight Center, for those who don't know, FreightCenter.com is a third-party logistics company, and we ship stuff all over. Think of us like
Things.
Expedia. Expedia for freight.
Okay.
But it's when people hear the word freight, they think big, which it can be. But we also ship your grandmother's rocking chair, and we also do parcel now. So we're doing packages as small as your cell phone,
Sure.
as large as a container that goes on a ship.
Oh, wow.
We do things worldwide. So that's why we named it The Big Give. We want to give back to the community. Freight Center is a locally owned company, even though we're a .com. We're based out of Palm Harbor. And so the idea was, hey, let's fill up a semi, since we deal with semis every single day with toys. And we are,
That's awesome.
I had mentioned before how we are veteran owned, and giving back to the community is important to us. So Toys for Tots, obviously, is a marine organization and a marine charity. And it was just tied in perfectly. So I got a hold of Mr. Ed here. Ed
Zaleski.
Zaleski. I don't even try to pronounce his last name.
I don't have name confidence with Ed's last name.
That's
I admit
right.
it. Name
Hence why I
confidence.
didn't. But as soon as I said Mr. Ed, I'm thinking, oh boy, the horse.
Of course.
Well, at least he's old enough to know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, Ed from Toys for Tots, and then some other sponsors, and we'll talk about them as we go. But yeah, the idea is to fill up this semi and then help Toys for Tots generate more toys than they did last year, because the community is in need with all the hurricanes, and just times are tough right now, maybe.
Absolutely. And so, Ed, this has got to be great for you guys. I mean, just gearing up for this event and everything that you do. And let's talk about Toys for Tots, some of the background information that folks may not be aware of.
So the Toys for Tots program started in 1947 with the Marine Corps Reserve. And the first year they collected 5,000 toys. And back then they actually collected unserviceable toys, which are the broken, no longer needed toys.
You
and they
tinkered and
repaired
fixed them,
They
right?
fixed them all. As the reserves dwindled down, they didn't have the resources to do that and still carry on their mission. So they went to just new unwrapped toys. And we handle over 20 million toys since inception. So it's a huge program, and every year we try to get bigger and bigger and take care of more and more of the needy families in the community.
That is so nice. And so this year, with the Big Give, you've got your volunteers ready to go. What's going to happen next?
Well, the Big Give is there's going to be a great tractor trailer from Twist Transport going around and picking up the toys from Publix. They've been giving since the 1st of December. The boxes have been out there, and now we're about halfway through, and we like to keep pushing for those 10 to 12-year-old toys and the less than 1-year-olds that we really need the toys for. Keep pushing to give those toys, and we'll pick them up, bring them to the warehouse, and we'll sort them, get them ready to go out to the families of the community.
And I'm glad you bring up the little babies, the infants.
Aww.
They need toys, and sometimes they get forgotten because you see some of those other toys that are more interactive
Right.
and
They're
new on the
shiny.
market. Right.
Right.
So things like mobiles.
Yeah, mobiles,
and
rattles,
rattles.
blocks,
Oh, my
anything they can
Lord.
use and play
Okay.
with. Yep.
and make their Christmas something special. So what else do we need to know as far as we're going to see that big semi truck coming
Right.
through? That's going to look awesome.
Right. It's going to look awesome. So let me thank some people here real quick. So Fast Signs in Palm
Thanks
Harbor.
to Fast Signs. It's
Fast
going to look
Signs.
awesome.
Fast Sign
Yes.
is one of the sponsors anchoring this thing down. Luke and his crew over there. When I approached them, I was just thinking some little decals that we would put on the side of a semi. And Luke says to me, well, why don't we just do the whole side, 53 feet of it?
Right.
And I went, well,
Okay.
okay. I think that's a great idea.
Why not?
So both sides of the semi will be decorated with children's faces, and of course our
my
logo, FreightCenter.com, right?
gosh,
Toys
right.
for Tots. It's going to look amazing. So they donated all of that, and then I have to thank Extreme Graphics Brokers, Gary Colson and his crew. They do decal installation. They've been doing it for 30 years. They do stuff like semis. They do FedEx trucks. If you've got a boat and you want the decals taken off of it, or if you've got maybe an RV or something, they do that kind of stuff. They take the decals off and put them back on for you, and they're going to do the labor and putting all this stuff on the semi. And who's donating the semi? Twist Transportation out of Largo. They are a transportation company, obviously, that is asset based, and they do refrigerated hauls.
Wow.
And they do dry van stuff, obviously. That's what the toys will be, and they won't be in a refrigerated truck. So
Right. It's worth mentioning that Freight Center's been doing donations on behalf of Toys for Tots for 19 years.
Yeah,
really close to since your inception, or since you've been here.
Correct.
Based here.
Since we started the company 20 years ago, we've been working with Toys for Tots. Again, the founder of the company is a retired Marine, just like Ed is a retired Marine. I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
Thank you for your service. I was wondering that as we're going along.
Got that great haircut like a Marine does. The founder is a retired Marine, and his son, who is now the CEO, is a retired Army Ranger. Thank you, Ed. And so, so it's always been important to us to give back, and the Toys for Tots has always been the one charity that we gravitate to.
We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
So you were asking me about how this is going to play out. So on the 19th of December, we have the Twist Transportation truck driving around with for the Big Give. And it's going to go to 47 Publix stores. So while you're shopping for groceries, you'll see a Toys for Tots box there, along with FreightCenter.com's The Big Give on it, a flyer right next to it. Put your toy in that. And then our truck is going to come by and pick up those 47 stores.
There you go. And it's so nice, too, obviously, that you're partnering with Publix.
Right.
So that's something you do over and over as you
It's
get ready for the
convenient.
holidays. You're
Right.
there
You're
shopping.
there.
And then even if you don't have your toy there, it's a reminder.
Right. Well,
Come on back with your toys.
they sell toys there, and they've got a couple of aisles that they sell little toys, especially I bet they sell rattles and things for those little ones. We need the little ones.
So you guys are doing such a great thing to give back in the community. And do you know when we'll be able to see the big truck coming through?
And I think it's going to be the 19th, right?
We'd love to do it on the 19th. It's one of our last days to sort toys, but we'd like to give the stores as much time to collect the toys and pick them up the last minute, get them to the warehouse. So on the 19th, we'd like to have a big display and see this truck roll up with a beautiful decal on the side, and Twist Transport driving up, and have a truck full of toys to give out.
If you wanted to come by, you know what? That would probably make them feel pretty darn good.
Oh, that would be
people
fun.
were standing around watching and maybe, just saying thank you for the help that they're doing for the community. I know that each one of these sponsors is giving a part of their business to this, and they were happy to do it.
Feels good to be able to do that.
They would never say no. It was just, they're great. All of them are great companies.
I love it. Well, guys, it's been so great talking with you once again. Have safe, happy holidays.
Yes, you too.
Happy holidays to you.
Give the baby a big hug and a kiss.
Absolutely, I will. And I hope to see you all soon and wish you all the success with this great event. The
Thank
Big
you,
Give.
Roxanne.
And when you see this truck driving down the road, this 18-wheeler, you see how it's designed. Oh, my goodness, it looks fantastic. And you have to thank those folks at Extreme Graphics because they've done all this, donated their services, their time, their resources. If you want to give them a thank you, 863-838-8544. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more on The Current.